One pastor to another, and because most of these people, they're about what they can get into their pockets, they second, and it was really traumatizing, and I didn't know until after 10 years. Yeah, I didn't know it was alopecia until after 10 years. So I'll share a bit of my experience in that journey. First, some pastors said someone took my hair to the ocean. That's why I don't have hair. But there are some sacrifices here and there that we could perform that would make my hair grow. So I had times that I killed cows. I had times that I killed chickens. There were times we just give out the cows raw, like the meat, the pieces, raw like that. There were times we cook and feed people with it, just in the quest for my hair to grow back. And there were other ugly experiences I had too, ugly encounters I had of some spiritual men asking to have some form of intimacy with me before my hair could grow. Like, it was really traumatizing. It was annoying. It was frustrating, because at some point I got depressed, and I got to meet with a dermatologist who introduced some hairsprays to me that I used. It didn't work. And the moment I stopped using the spray, my hair fell off. In fact, at this point, I now lost my hair completely because the spray did not work. You understand? So it triggered some other hormones, and then I lost my hair completely. So I became completely bald. Initially, it was just in patches. And then after applying those sprays, I lost my hair completely. And I used that spray for a period of 1 year and 6 months. And at that time, a spray costs 15,000 naira. So I must use a can, like I must buy a new can every fortnight. It was a fortnight thing. I was buying a new can every fortnight. And I administered it for a year and a half. But instead of it to get better, it got worse. And I still did not stop. I wanted a solution. I wanted my hair back. So I approached another dermatologist who placed me on a wrong medication. And because I was so desperate, I didn't even bother to ask, what is this thing you're placing me on? What is this medication for? I didn't know it was using me as a specimen. For every time I got 0.1 mg, I took 5 as a dose. For every time I got 0.5 mg, I took 10 as a dose. So that was an abuse. And I discovered, and I became suicidal as well. So at some point I became suicidal. I almost died because I made a suicidal attempt. But thank God my mother was my problem was. And that was how I stumbled on the word alopecia on the internet. And I realized it was a condition, or it is a condition. Like what I've been going through actually has a name, and the name is alopecia. So that was how I got to know that the condition is alopecia. I started embracing myself in 2015. Yeah, that was when I did the personal research that I became aware. And okay, I stumbled on a particular lady's story online, and I started following her up. Her daughter has alopecia, and I saw the way she instilled confidence in her daughter at every stage that her daughter was encountering. Like, it started with bald patch. From one bald patch, it increased to patches, and then she lost almost everything, and there were just few strands of hair left. I saw the way she would pack the hair into ponytail and go everywhere with it, So I admired that. But I noticed that while I was doing my research, I didn't really see much of black people with the same condition. There were more of white people. And within me, I resolved that I could be a strength to other people, especially Black people, who are going through this same experience, who are experiencing the same thing. Because looking back to how my journey started, it wasn't funny. And at that point, I knew there were people who were going through worse situation than what I went through. So I decided I was going to be a voice to other people. I was going to stand my ground and create awareness. Though in the process of doing that, I opened up to a few persons, media personnel, who did not really understand my story, and they made a mess of it because I wanted to do a come out video, you get? So they made a mess of it and turned it to a comedy skit. That was when I knew there's really no bad publicity, because that was when I met my deputy, Moshudat Badmos. I was really sad about it because the whole thing went bad for me. You know, it went viral. A lot of people saw it. A lot of people misunderstood the message because they actually did not pass the message right. A lot of people misunderstood it. So it went sour, and she came online, saw the ridicule and everything, and she started fighting for me. So she was like the voice I didn't have at that downtime, at that point in time. So I approached her and I was like, you seem to know about alopecia. Do you have alopecia? She said yes. He needed to see the joy that I felt that day. Like I didn't feel that kind of joy in 10 years. I was so excited. I was so happy. I contacted her immediately. We started talking, and before you knew it, I was on my way to, then she was in Ogun State. I was on my way to Ogun State from Kaduna. I took a trip to Ogun State just to meet her because, you know, it was relieving for you to see someone or know that there's someone who can relate, you know, to whatever it is you were going through. Because before then, people around me could not understand. There were times I wanted to talk. I wanted to just, you know, explain how I was feeling, but I didn't have people to talk to, because even when I talk, they don't understand. You understand? It was more like a mental thing for me. But when I met her, it was relieving. I felt so much relief because she could relate. Yeah, she understood where I was coming from, and that was how the foundation journey started.
The National Alopecia Areata Foundation states that alopecia affects about 147 million people in the world, and according to Africa Prime News, there are over 100,000 persons living with alopecia in Nigeria.
It has not been easy running the Heroic Alopecia Foundation because, okay, one thing is for people to know what their condition is. Another thing is for them to come out, right? So, like I said, when I met Moshudat, that was when the foundation journey started. Though I'd already started single-handedly before I met her, and then we took the race together, and we continued the race. Then some other members joined, and we grew to about 13 members, and in the process, we got to know more. We got to know that alopecia is actually a journey. You get? Some would accept the fact that this is what it is. Some may never accept it. But it's a good thing that you're aware that this is what the problem is, right? And we realize that a lot of people are out there suffering that don't know what this condition is. And they really need to know, because if you know that you have a problem and you know what that problem is, I think your problem is half solved already. So what we do basically is try to reach out to people, try to create awareness. Thanks to BBC Pidgin, I was featured on BBC Pidgin last year, and as a result of that publicity, our member strength grew from 13 to 70. Yeah, so right now we have 70 members. Majority are Nigerians. We have few of them in Ghana, some in Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Senegal, America, London. So we still feel there's a need for us to create more awareness, because if you'd ask for my opinion, I would say only 2% of people in Nigeria are aware of this condition called alopecia. I think a lot has to be done, a lot needs to be done concerning awareness. There was a training I went for recently at Nikkei Art Gallery, and on the first few days of the training, I didn't go with my wig. I didn't wear my wig, and nobody really paid attention to the fact that I don't have hair. I only got comments like, your hairstyle is nice, and because of what I went there for, I didn't have that time to explain to them that it's not a hairstyle but a health condition. Until after 5 days, I decided to wear my wig. So I went there with a wig, and after a while I started feeling uncomfortable with my wig on, so I removed it. And people were like, it's better. You look better without your wig than with your wig. So another question popped up from someone else, that why the hairstyle? What inspired the hairstyle? And I told them it's not a hairstyle, but it's a health condition. So that got a lot of people's attention, and they're like, oh really, it's a health condition, tell us about it. So while I was talking, I heard whispers of 2 persons arguing about one Tope somewhere that has a similar condition, and the other person said, no, it's not the same. Tope's case is spiritual. You know, they were arguing in their dialect, in Kaba actually. So I heard, and I paused and asked, why did you say Tope's condition is spiritual? He said, because hers is not completely off like mine. She has patches and all. I said, yes, the patch is a form of alopecia actually. Like, there are different types of alopecia. Hers is alopecia areata. That's the medical term for her condition. And they're like, oh really? I said, yes. So I went as far as explaining to them that there's also a condition called alopecia totalis, where it's just limited to the head alone. You know, the hair loss is limited to the head alone. And I also explained about alopecia universalis, where the victim loses the lashes, the brows, and every other part of the body that has hair. And they were amazed. So when they told me a lot about Tope, I told them I was interested in meeting Tope. But guess what? Tope is dead. Tope died as a result of isolation. Tope died as a result of stigmatization. I also heard of the story of one woman in Benue State that died as a result of stigmatization. She was tagged a witch because her hair stopped growing, and she was isolated, far away from people. You know, they stopped giving her food, and that was how she died. I also heard of some girls in Benin who were constantly tied and flogged with broom because they have alopecia. And at the moment, we have 2 parents in Kaduna who are representing their sons because they are kids. One is 6 years old, the other one is 7. There's this belief in the north, when strange things happen to you, they just assume you have anjanu, like a spiritual problem, like evil spirits. I think anjanu is evil spirits. And they kept burning their scalps with fire, that they are chasing away the anjanu, until they met me. Someone actually told me about them, and I went to visit the family. So when I got there and I removed my wig, I saw the relief. You know, there was this sigh of relief that, oh, okay, so this thing is not happening to our son alone. There are other people who have this thing, and it's a medical condition. You understand? So a lot needs to be done concerning awareness.
Alopecia can affect anyone regardless of age and gender, and in many cases, it takes a toll on their relationships.
To an extent, alopecia has affected my relationship with people, because I remember back then in school, when it started at first, I didn't start covering it immediately. I still rocked it, and after a while, I started covering it with a scarf. And my friends were surprised, like, when did you start covering your your hair. You were not like this. What's the problem? And some of them just tried to be naughty and they pulled the scarf off. And when they realized that there was something strange about my head, some gave space. The naughty ones tagged it a name. Some started calling me an alien. Like when I applied the spray and everything fell off, like I lost every strand of hair on my body. I'm talking about my lashes, my brows, every part of my body. I didn't have hair. I had a friend who was constantly calling me an alien, like to my face, and people would laugh about it. It became embarrassing at some point. And then relationship, yeah, I had a major relationship then that failed as a result of alopecia because my supposed to-be mother-in-law called off the wedding introduction, 3 days to the wedding introduction, because of fear of the unknown. You know, she didn't want a situation whereby our grandchildren would have hair loss problems, so she called off the wedding introduction, not minding how far we had gone, and then the preparation for the event and all that. And the last disappointment I got to was as a result of alopecia, because I went for a consultation with the person I was dating at that time, and he heard all the medical advice I got about me. Like the dermatologist advised that I should not bother myself, because at this stage, at this point, the hair loss has really it has gotten to an advanced stage where my hair might not grow anymore, you understand? So he heard all of that, and his countenance changed on our way home. So out of curiosity, I tried to question him about his mood and everything, and he said he's scared, doesn't want to raise kids that would not have hair. So to a great extent, alopecia has affected my relationship with people. Alopecia has really affected my family in a lot of ways. Like my mom, right now, she still does not accept the fact that it is a medical condition. She's yet to come to terms with the fact that it's a medical condition. She still feels that there's more to it and the hair would grow. Yes, the hair could grow because alopecia actually has a mind of its own. The way it decides to go off, like the way your hair decides to go off, it could just decide to start growing overnight. That's another mysterious thing about alopecia, because it has to do with your immune system. So your immune system might just decide, okay, I want to be good, I want to be perfect, and then your hair starts growing again, you understand? So it has really affected my family, because I remember when I didn't know what it was, I was constantly being stigmatized, because my mother would always have a scarf or a cap or something beside her. And the moment someone knocks at the door, she's throwing it at me to cover my head. I didn't like that part. I didn't like the fact that I could not just be myself, you know, and feel free like every other person. I didn't like the fact that I have to always cover my head, you know. And another thing is, it became a prayer request. Like till now, it's still a prayer request. Everyone is always praying at some point, at one point or the other, for my hair to grow back. Yeah, so it has really affected my family, not just me.
1 in 20 people with alopecia also has a family member who has experienced the condition, which implies that most people that have alopecia usually don't have family members with this condition.
I'm not too sure that the awareness is really there. Having said so, I mean, if we think about the patients who come into the clinic, alopecia is, at least what I would say, some studies have shown that is one of the top 10 dermatology consultations. And because the world is generally getting more visual, everybody's more concerned about appearance, and we talk about quality of life and all this. So you're seeing a lot more patients coming in. They're coming in. Areata in itself, a lot of people don't know. I don't think the awareness is really, really there. But remember that when you are dealing with a specialty, So if we talk in the general population, maybe no. But if you come into the specialty community, specialty hospital, we will see we have a bit, a high enough number of cases. But I would say if you just ask for the general population, no. And so to the next question of how can we make them more aware of what you're doing? If we have people who suffer from, I remember that because of the stigma of alopecia, everybody knows that a woman's hair is supposed to be like her crowning glory. She wants to do things with it. She wants to look well. You don't really want to cover it. But with wigs and weaves, nobody knows who has what. Now, a lot of women will just take it out. So you don't know who has the problem because of the stigma or the quality of life. Very, very significant impact on the quality of life. So people are hiding. People are not able to get, and some people go to those who don't really know what to do. Some people, the salon, the hairstylist, who should almost be like your first sort of, oh, madam or girl, as the case may be, what's happening to your hair? Do you think you need to see somebody? Most times they might give you their own version of what they think works, and the hair loss is worsening. Where ideally, if you present early enough in alopecia areata, you may just be able to break that autoimmunity.
Alopecia often develops suddenly over the course of just a few days. This condition affects the mental health of the victims and sometimes makes them withdrawn.
Dealing with stigmatization before I became aware was not easy. I had days that I cried. I had days I didn't want to see anybody. Like I locked myself up in the room for days, for weeks. There were days I didn't want to see my immediate family members, my downtime and all, as a result of stigmatization. Like I mentioned earlier that there was a time I was depressed. It was as a result of stigmatization because I felt stigmatized by everybody, even those that were close to me. You know, at every point in time, I was expecting people to show me love. So at every moment that I don't, at every time that I don't get that kind of love that I expect, you know, I feel stigmatized. So it was really ugly for me. But the moment I got to know that this is what it is, I became free. You know, I got some form of liberty, I got some form of liberation, and I don't get stigmatized anymore. So when people try to mock me now, I just laugh at their ignorance. And if I have the opportunity to educate them, I don't hesitate.
Alopecia can cause a lot of anxiety and sadness. It is important we have more support groups in the society to help people living with alopecia deal with the psychological effects of this condition.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12
blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Furniture making is an act of turning or building wood pieces into amazing objects. It is a wide market and its requirements are lower in terms of quality and finishing. Furniture making business is just like every other profession. It is mainly distinguished by how you choose to present it. The furniture industry has so much improved in Nigeria from the roadside carpentry and has grown to become a billionaire industry. The market for furniture industry would always be in demand because everyone needs furniture for countless reasons. The furniture market globally is a huge market which is estimated to be about $360 billion market, with the most prominent players being the United States and the China market. Nigerian furniture market is a vast market which is estimated at 70 billion naira, with an annual growth rate of about 2.35%, which is due to the massive increase in urbanization and population growth. Despite the massive rise of the locally produced furniture in Nigeria, the furniture making business is still much hampered by the high demand for imported furniture. In 2004, the Nigerian government banned the importation of furniture, thereby creating opportunity for investors to push capital into furniture business. To start a furniture business in Nigeria, you don't require an expert furniture making skills. You can furniture making with small capital and grow into a big shop. With about 450,000 naira, you can start a furniture business. But the profitability of the business is mainly anchored on the area or location of the business, the bargaining power of the furniture maker, and the level of experience in the business.
Experience in project management, business supervision, development, negotiation, customer service, strategic planning, and analytical thinking. She studied chemical engineering and bagged her BEng degree from Anambra State University. In 2018, she was awarded a certificate of the Yearly Emerging Leaders Program at the Regional Leadership Center, West Africa, Accra. Certificate of Appreciation. Guest is Joan Mbogu.
I wanted to know more. Even though he was operating from Abuja, I was in Lagos. I wanted to know more. So I told him, okay, you know what? I want to know more about this furniture thing, being an architect. So he was all about how you could design, procure materials, build the furniture piece, and finally install. For me, it was quite interesting. And before I knew what was happening, after the discussion that day, anywhere I go and I see a furniture piece, I'm trying to relate it with the story he had just told me. And I remember telling him that, okay, you know what, I want to do this. Because at that time, I had just resigned. I was not really doing anything within that space. So he said, okay, and he was willing to bring me on board. So we did quite some jobs. We did quite some jobs that time. I got some small jobs. Maybe you want to make your table, your chair, and I was involved. And it's been from one small job to the other, and the story has.
Here today.
Yes,
so did you actually have to learn how to put wood together?
Yes, I did. Yes,
oh, wow.
So I did. So at least from the engineering part, I'm a very hands-on person, and I try to know details of everything I want to do. So yes, I did. At the initial stage, maybe not. Yes, but later on, after I began running my.
Oh, well, I'm really trying to just imagine you being hands-on.
I am. I spray.
Wow.
I spray. At least I can operate my equipment. I have a panel saw. I can operate it. I can operate my edge binder. I can operate my planer. So it's not like I do it, but hey, if you are making a guide for me, I'll tell you that I can do this thing. Yes.
I think that's one of the perks of actually learning.
Yeah.
The putting furniture together itself.
Yeah.
So people won't as you say, shakara you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been in this industry for quite a while.
Yeah, quite a while.
And we know that there are very few females in this industry.
Yes.
Okay. Even though a lot of people are getting into it now, but it's still more male-dominated. Anyway, so what improvements would you like to see in this furniture making space in Nigeria?
So improvements, well, first of all, I would like to see increased in the kind of quality we make overall in the furniture industry.
You mean locally?
Yes, locally, of course, locally. And also increase in productivity. And I'm looking forward to a time where maybe our NUC can have furniture making as a course people can study in school. Yes, so because it's really interesting that we have a challenge presently in the industry of having skilled workers. So if somebody can go to the university and study furniture making or carpentry, I mean, you can imagine somebody graduates and I'm a furniture maker, BSc holder.
I'm a furniture maker makes it
look too right?
I'm a carpenter.
Although there was a time if you ask me, I'm like, okay, I'm becoming like carpenter. Yes, that's what I am. So if we can have that in the university curriculum, I think it's going to be great, and it will help bridge that gap of when we're obtainable abroad, but Nigeria, we have not really embraced it. So there's this thing about you're a carpenter, like you said, they just look at you like you're the roadside hammer. No, it's beyond that. There is the technology has really shifted from that part to, you have state-of-art equipment right now that you use. There are lots of, it's really taxing. It's not an easy thing. Yes, those artisans, they just hit these, join things together, but
it's more than that.
Yeah, so if you come from the design point of view, there's a quality part of it, there's an installation part of it, so those needs like professional guidance, and that's what we're looking at. Okay, if we can have furniture maker graduates, it's going to be awesome.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So how's the journey been running this establishment? Tell me about some of the challenges.
Let me say this upfront. It is not easy, right? But hey, there's been highs, there's been lows. It is not an easy, especially like you said, being in a male-dominated industry. So it's not something like you can just come and sit down and work. Most times you have to, like I said, you have to know your onions so that when the guys are not doing it well, you can always correct. So challenges majorly is having access to those skilled carpenters, like staffing. Yes, it's a huge challenge. So what I've tried to do personally is that I have this training arm in the organization. So what I do, I encourage people, especially the females, even if you don't know how to do anything, just come. I have some cheap the good carpenters, so they can actually put you through like apprenticeship. So when they've gone through a certain period of time, we can enroll you as a proper staff, and some of them will just, you know what, I want to start doing my stuff. So the major challenge is really staffing. Yeah.
So that's been your major challenge, staffing?
Yes, staffing, and maybe another thing will be clients not having to pay completely. I don't know whether it's a Nigerian thing, but you have people when you've delivered
this particular one about clients, we'll talk about it shortly.
Yes.
I want to hear how clients make it a challenge for you running your business.
Okay.
So we'll do that after the break.
Okay, thank you.
We will be back for more conversations with our guests after the break.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
We now start hearing the shoot of guns.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Have they made it challenging running your business?
So when I mean challenge, you don't get funds as when due.
So is it that, okay, they don't pay in time,
yes,
or they overprice your work?
No,
underprice your work?
No, they don't pay on time.
Okay.
So, most times, really what we have payment term that like, before we execute your job. But you see some clients, they just decide to hold, maybe you have like a 15% remaining after you've delivered the job, or a 20%.
But that's the Nigerian way.
But it's not good. It's not helping the business, because the truth is that most times we're actually running or trying to deliver your project with your funds. So it's not like I have one fund somewhere that I want to use, then maybe after I've delivered and then you pay. So we expect that, okay, once your job is delivered and you're okay, some clients will just be waiting for you 1 month. So it's like they're waiting for something to spoil. So they can now hinge on it. Do you get? So it's really sad. Like you have contract, but they don't keep to their own side of the contract. You've delivered, but
how about you specifying it? Like, this is how we work, sir, ma. this is expected on this date and that date and that date.
We do that. So the corporate clients are good. They comply. Right, I think most of the times the challenge we have are individuals, so they don't keep to the contract. So you tell them, they'll say yes, but when you now finish, sometimes you're calling them, you're begging like. But you know what? There's something that I've started doing recently. So I'll try as much as possible, even though it's not working, but somehow it has improved the payment, the final payment thing. So we try. What I do is that I will finish your job. Yes, then I'll send you pictures. You can see your job, and I'll tell you I'm not coming until you pay that money. So some comply. You found a way around it. Yes.
Hopefully that works in the long term.
Yeah.
Okay, so amidst all these challenges, you're still in business. I want you to give us some tips on how to run, just very few tips on how to run a profitable furniture making business in Nigeria of today.
Well, in Nigeria of today, I like that, because running an entrepreneur in Nigeria, it's not an easy feat. So, well, for me, I would say, I think basically have a business, your audience. What niche are you trying to serve? Okay. So you need to understand that. And maybe secondly would be, what part of furniture do you want to specialize that will need those products? Because again, you can't be making something that is not needed. So when you understand those two and know your audience, know what is entails from the beginning to the end, even if you don't want to get involved, at least have that knowledge.
Have an idea.
Yes, so that you can make informed decisions as the owner of the business. And maybe lastly will be, of course, know your numbers. Yes, you must know your numbers. Have a proper given. You can play around woodwork compared to the man-made materials. Now, why I said
what
that
is man-made materials?
Man-made materials are like the engineered boards. They've been processed synthetically. Okay. Unlike wood. No, wood is from the forest, like raw wood. So those other ones have been prepared. So you have limitations to what you can do, because it's already like what they call it, like ready-made, refined. So you have limitations. But with woodwork, you can exhibit your creativity. You can think of something to make as a furniture person, and you do it with woodwork. Like you can. So that's one interesting thing about it. And you know, having to.
Thanks for staying with us on Ladies Talking Business. We have been having conversations with Joan Mbogo of Jones Wood Creation Limited on the business of furniture making in Nigeria. Okay, Joan. As someone who's been in business for a while and is involved in, you know, the business of everything itself, what common errors do you see business owners make?
Time, you know, I wanted to just be everywhere. I think it comes with the fact that maybe with profession, it's like you just want to be everywhere. It's a very big mistake. So one is going to wear you out. You're going to be burnt out. And as a visionary, you're not supposed to be like everywhere. You're the visionary, you're supposed to be thinking strategically. What's the next business, and not really getting into the nitty-gritty. Yes, you can oversee, but not carrying everything. So get people, employ people. Even if you cannot employ, you can outsource, right? So you can just get maybe like work with somebody for a period of time and get it sorted out. Don't try to carry everything. You know, you're going to wear out. And if possible, if you need to get a partner or somebody to collaborate with, do that. There's
collaboration. How easy is collaboration in this part of the world?
Well, like you say, I think for us in Nigeria, or for this I can't bug myself, then I will not meet timeline. I'm now having to try to beg the clients. I mean, why do I need to go through that stress? So I call my colleague. I say, okay, I have this job. You know, let's take this part. I take this part and deliver. Everybody's happy. You know, and again, it's just about me trying to concentrate on my strength. I can't, yes.
So which is?
Yes, so my strength.
Running the business?
Yes, so running the business when it comes to having to collaborate. So there are some parts of furniture that I know that I can do without any stress, right? The woodwork thing. So I can do without any stress. When it, as anything outside that is still within furniture, maybe the upholsteral type of furnishing, or maybe the man-made type, I try to get my other colleagues in the industry to handle that part. Although not that I can't do it, but I have the materials. He's the accountant. He's the everything. Yes, at the beginning stage, those things you tend to wear a lot of hats. But as time goes on, you should consciously know that you need to shave out, and because you need to grow beyond that level. Like I said, I was in that space at the time, but hey, I know better. Yes, I know better, and so that I can live to enjoy this money that we are all chasing. You're just making money, and you're tired or you're falling sick because of the work.
Okay,
yeah.
So how would you advise small business owners to raise capital, to upscale their business? I'm sure you know that raising capital, getting funding in this part of the world can be difficult. Let me say it that way. Let me put it that way. Can be difficult. So, but what's your advice?
Well, my advice for people trying to raise money, first of all, I would say that don't try to raise money on paper and talks, but this thing might not be profitable, especially in this our climate. Maybe abroad, yes, that idea would flourish. So don't try to raise money to run an idea. Now, if as a business person you want to raise money, I would say, first of all, start with your own funds. Like, I'm telling you practically from what I did, and that has worked for me. Start with your own funds. If you have family, if you have relative friends, try and get those pool funds. Run that idea. I would say do like an MVP analysis. Validate that MVP. Make sure that you're meeting the need and it's profitable, at least with the funds that you have gathered within. Once you've tested the waters and it's working, then you know that, okay, you are ready to raise funds, because at that time you have a traction. I mean, if you carry that idea or whatever you're doing to any prospective investor or any bank, at least they can see what you've done. You have history, they will fund you. So one of the ways you can raise money at that time when you've tested the waters and you know that what you're doing is profitable, you can do pitches. There are lots of pitch competitions where you can win a grant. At least start with that. Accelerator programs, because yes, they might not be big money. It's like maybe 3 million, 5 million, but once you get that, because again, you are building a traction, you're building a history for the bigger players that want to play into your own business. So you need to start, you need to, go through that. Except maybe you have one relative or uncle that has one big money that they don't care.
How easy do they party with it?
So with that, anybody will listen to you at that stage, and yeah, you will get the
amazing
money.
John, before I let you go, what advice do you have for women in business?
Women in business. First of all, it's not, like I always say, some people make this thing look glamorous, but in real sense, it isn't. So I'll tell you something. I had somebody that was kind of watching me on social media, seeing all the beautiful things we're doing, young graduates, building technology person. So I think he was observing me for like a year. Then later he now applied that he wanted to be an intern. And when he came, I had an interview with him and we enrolled him. And the guy said something to me, said, "Madam, like, I don't know, this job is this, is like this. Like, you make it so easy." We see, as a woman, I think it's necessary we build our confidence. Confidence stems from the fact of, you're welcome, you're welcome.
Well, we wish you all the very best at
Thank
job.
you, Maury.
I hope you've been imparted on this episode of Ladies Talking Business today. Do join us the same time next week for another episode. Don't forget to follow us on PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle on YouTube to catch up with our programs. I'm Murmi Akon. See you next week.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Delta's story be changed for the better. Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions. Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Good afternoon. I am Justin Akadanya with a news brief. The Kaduna State government says the evacuation of passengers trapped in the Kaduna-bound train from Abuja has been concluded this morning by security forces. The Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruan, said this in a statement issued today. He said that officials of the Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency and the Nigerian Red Cross were part of the evacuation of the victims. Aruan said the passengers who sustained injuries and other fatalities had also been moved to hospitals. He denounced that the passengers were evacuated from different hard-to-reach areas in forest and rocky locations in Audu Jongom of the Kaduna-Abuja road. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Railway Corporation, NRC, says it has temporarily suspended its service. Comrade Innocent Luka Ajiji, thanks for joining us on the news brief.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's just get a clear picture. Can you bring us up to speed as regards all that happened yesterday? And
Regina, the train was attacked by the bandits or whatever they call them, and they exploded the track, and quite the portion that was exploded was quite lengthy, so that brought the train to a standstill because most of the wheels derailed, and so as a result of that, there's nothing. Even the locomotive rescued the already attacked train, and unfortunately, on getting there, the portion told that the soldiers, the security men, and Red Cross Society helped in evacuating some of the passengers.
About any of your members involved in the incident of yesterday?
God bless you. Thank you very much. Yeah, as I talk to you, I am yet to establish contact with the driver of the train, but I was able to establish contact with the assistant driver of the train that is safe. But the driver of the train, nobody knows his whereabouts. And also the mechanical man in charge of electricity of the train was also nowhere to be found at this moment that we still talk. We don't know their whereabouts, whether they have taken safety to the bush or they were taken back to Kaduna or they were affected or kidnapped. We are yet to be properly informed about it, as all their lines are not going through. So nobody could really ascertain their whereabouts and their position now. But for those that were killed, I am not well informed yet.
Right.
Ended until further notice. And so those are the official statements I came across, but at the moment. So, but as I talk to you, they are mobilizing to go. Our men are already on their way to go and start work at the accident site. So, which we are sure that within a few days they would be cleared.
All right, Innocent, just before we let you go now, let's talk about proffering solutions. But before that, over time, have you had any meeting with the Railway Corporation as regards security along the rail tracks? Because this is not the first time an incident like this has happened. I remember it happened sometime last year. What has been done since it happened last year, and what is the conversation like since?
I made a lot of observations, and of course, we as a union advise the management and even the government that there should beef up security on the station, even on the track, and even in all our stations. And we also suggested that cameras be put on the train that can show the driver if those were at.
All right, we seem to have lost Comrade Innocent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. You see, we keep making statements at each interval. It will interest you to know that I was interviewed by your television station last year during the 3 days warning strike we embarked upon. And as a result of the strike, we brought up these observations, and we even made references to the fact that even the train workers are not insured, but the passengers are insured. But after which, we were made to understand that actually the railway workers are on group life assurance. And but I can approval before payment will be done to next of kin. So most next of kins that have applied have not benefited. Why? Because of the cumbersome nature of the process. So that was why we advised that every railway worker should be placed on personal life insurance.
All right.
So that when anything happens, you can easily access the benefit of the deceased between the next of kin and the insurance company. But this group life assurance is what we are not in support of, because the cumbersome of getting paid is too long. So
all
now
right,
all these
so
that
much,
are involved in this now, where do we start from?
All right, thank you so much. Innocent Ajiji, President General, Nigeria Union of Railway Workers. Thank you so much for your time on the news brief.
Thank you.
Well, moving on now, the Nigerian Army says troops of the 82 Division have dislodged the indigenous people of Biafra and its armed affiliate, the Eastern Security Network, ESN, from their hideout in Anambra State. The Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, said the clearance operation took place on Monday at Osumogo, Ihiala local government area of the state. Nwachukwu said the notorious groups had serially launched attacks on defenseless civilians and security targets from the hideout. He said troops were met with stiff resistance from the dissident elements as they closed in on the enclave during the operation along Imo-Anambra border communities. According to him, the criminals were overwhelmed by the troops' superior firepower, forcing them to abandon the hideout. Now, the Osun State Police Command says it has arrested and paraded a housewife, Ganiyat Abbas, and her husband, Olatubosun, for allegedly stealing a 6-day-old baby. The couple, who reside in Iwo, was paraded alongside other suspected fraudsters and armed robbers at their command headquarters in Osogbo. Now, the Commissioner of Police, Olawale Olokode, said on March the 24th, the couple stole a 6-day-old baby from its mother, Jamilat Musa, who allegedly has a medical condition. The couple tricked her with some wraps of cornmeal and 200 naira for bean cake. Olokode said the baby's mother left to buy the bean cake. Now, the suspect quickly put the baby inside a sack and ran away.
Members of the public should be conscious and be wary of these scammers and get rich quick people. Like I've always said, we the officers and men of the Osun State Police Command shall continue to do our best to make the good citizens of Osun.
I owe somebody money. I was in my house, I called the person, I said, this is where I am. Please, when I get the money, I'll come and give you. The next thing, he came with policemen to my house. The uniform I was putting on was not seen in me. I was asked to put it on because I was a dismissed soldier. That was my original army certificate. This is my picture when I was in war front. I live here in Osogbo, in Ogoluwa area.
And you refused to drop your uniform after you were dismissed?
I dropped every military kit with me. This is not my uniform. Somebody transported it to me because I wanted to go to Lagos to drop for one senior captain in Ikeja cantonment. So it was packed in the nylon. But when police came to my house, they find it where I kept it. So I was asked to put it on.
He would travel to Maiduguri, that he just returned back to Osogbo, that I should come. He has a program at Okeorio. And that's why I came to his house, and the police met me in his house.
So, where did you know him?
I knew him at Ibadan. As a soldier, as a service soldier.
Which
because
year? Which year?
That's 2020 December, November, December, and he left December 2020.
Did you know he was dismissed?
No, I didn't.
But he presented himself to you as a serving military man.
Yes, sir.
In 2020?
Yes.
And he issued you ID cards?
Yes.
Collected?
Yes, sir.
Now, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has raised an alarm over an alleged plan by the major People's Democratic Party, PDP, to sabotage the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Mohammed said the PDP is trying to trigger what he described as another NSAS protest to heat up the polity and make the Buhari administration look bad in the eyes of Nigerians. He boasted that while the PDP wasted 16 years without leaving behind any legacy, even with huge oil revenues, the APC has delivered many monumental projects across the country with lower oil prices. The minister questioned the rationale behind the opposition party's moves to return to power in 2023.
The opposition say they handed over a 500 billion economy, the price of petrol, the foreign exchange, full stop. I asked them, what infrastructure did they leave behind? How many kilometers of roads did they leave behind? How many kilometers of railroad did they leave behind? At the time of plenty, and I said it here, when they had the money, when petroleum was selling for almost $100 for more than 10 years, what did they do with it? They frittered it away. If we left a sand economy, if they left behind a sand economy, a sand infrastructure, we'll not be completing the 30-year-old Itakpe Warri. We'll not be building a brand new standard gauge rail from Lagos to Ibadan. Anybody, and I said, this is not the first time.
In a bid to boost